G'day guys, Socket here. Today we're going to continue on with our REW EQ Wizard car audio tuning tutorial series, and today we're going to look at a simplified method for the phase and impulse time alignment using REW. So if you sat through the 3 hours of part 1 and 2 of the phase and impulse time alignment tutorial, it was super in depth, and in amongst all of that stuff I did explain how to do basic impulse alignment and how to align your mid bass and subs using the phase plots, but unfortunately it was kind of buried in there with all the rest of the content, so I thought I'd make a very short video just teasing out that simplified method for those people who don't want to spend all of the time doing the maximum summation method. So let's dive in and I'll show you how to get it done. Okay, well here we are in REW. We have all of the measures ready to go. I've already gone and flipped the polarities on the speakers that needed flipping, so that all of the speakers are in the correct polarity and are the same. The first thing we're going to do is time align the pairs, so the tweeters and then the mids and then the mid bass, and then we're going to time align the crossovers, so that'll be the tweeters with the mids and the mids with the mid bass, and and so on and so forth, all the way down to the rear sub. So starting with the tweeters, we're going to go into overlays and just open that up, and we've got a left tweeter and a right tweeter. They are both pointing down in terms of polarity, and the way we time align these is to zoom right into the into these impulse responses. And we know because they're the ones that cross over the 100% mark, and we're simply going to put our cursor on here, hold the control button and the right mouse button and drag it across, and we'll be able to measure between these 2 points, and it tells us that we've got to add 1.06 milliseconds to this red speaker, which is the right tweeter, and that will cause this speaker impulse to be overlaid the top of the left, and therefore time aligning them, right? So we're going to add delay because this speaker impulse is arriving early. It's getting to our listening position before the green one, because the green one is further away, and the delay we need to add is 0.06 milliseconds. So let's go and do that here in the alignment tool. This is just to simulate what's going on, and in fact I've already done this. I was mucking around with this before, so we can make an align copy now, and now we have 1.06 milliseconds on the right tweeter, and now we can go and have a look in the overlays, and that one is in purple. So we'll turn off that one, and we should have both of these. If I highlight that, you can see it glow yellow. If I highlight that, it glows yellow. So, if I get close enough, you can see the two impulses are in fact on top of each other, right? So there you go. So 1.06, and those speakers are now time aligned. So you can go into your DSP now. Where are we? DSP, here we are. And we can add 1.06 to the right tweeter. Oops, too far, 1.06 to the right tweeter, and now we can lock them into group 1 so that the relationship between the left and the right tweeter won't get disturbed, right? So that's the tweeters done. Let's move on to the mids. The process is the same. We'll just clear all of this, and we'll bring up the right mid and the left mid, and you can see the two impulse responses down here. And whoops, I've selected the wrong one. I've got left mid bass. Here we go, left mid and the right mid. That's a lot better. And these ones are super close together already. Now the right mid is arriving early, so we want to delay it so it overlaps the left mid. And once again, we can just hold down the control button, right button on your mouse and drag it across, and that is 110 microseconds. US is microseconds, which is 0.11 of a millisecond, right? So once again, we'll go into our alignment tool. we'll get the left mid and the right mid. We want to add 0.11 milliseconds to that, make a copy, just give it a little label. There we go. Alright. So now if we go to the overlays, and let's double check that, and we'll turn off the right mid, no, the left mid, there we go. The right mid, that's it. Now we can see that those two, blow that up, we can see that those two are in fact sitting on top of each other as well. Great. So that is now the mids time aligned as well. So 2 out of 2. Alright, so the next one, oh sorry, before we do that we better put that into the DSP. So going into our DSP, and we've got to add 0.11 to our DSP. Okay, there we go. And we'll lock that into group 2 so that the relationship between the mids are not disturbed. Now, it doesn't mean that the tweeters and the mids are time aligned yet, because they are independent. For example, that might be the correct relationship, right? We might need 5 milliseconds of delay on the tweeters to be properly aligned with the mids, but we'll worry about that when we come to doing the crossovers, right? So I'll just bring that back to 0. Alright, so let's go to the mid bass. Whoops, reduce that. Alright, so the mid bass, same thing, we go into the overlays. Now the mid bass are a little harder to see. We get to the point where the high frequency drivers are good to do with impulse responses, because the impulse responses are very sharp. The low frequency drivers, like your mid bass and subs, are sometimes easier to align using phase. But let's have a look at the impulse first, so we can get rid of all of those and bring up the left mid bass and the right mid bass. And what you can see here is, yeah, it's a bit rugged, right? It's not as good. And it's a bit unclear as to which of these peaks that we're going to align to, because normally you would align to the ones that are 100%, and I know in this case if I do that we end up with that mirror image, which we don't want. So I think we'll probably go and try looking at the phase instead. So the way that this works, and let's just get rid of all of this and look at our mid bass, because we want to know roughly the range that this is playing through. And this is down on the shoulders of the mid bass, so it's maybe playing from 50 through to say 250, right? Something like that would be fine. So let's go into the overlays. So 50 to 250 will bring up the phase, open that window up, get rid of everything, and look at the left mid bass and the right mid bass, and you can see that they're not on top of each other yet. Okay, so the range we want to look at is holding the control button down and the right button on the mouse and just dragging this big box and clicking, you can see that they're not totally aligned. So how much delay do we need to add to get these lined up? Well, glad you asked. Let's go into the alignment tool again and we can have a quick look. So we want the left mid bass and the right mid bass, and we'll just now open up phase alignment, this little tool thing here, and we should have left mid bass, right mid bass. That's better. So from we want these ones to all be kind of lined up. We're going to always add to the right, because we're in a right hand drive car, the right mid bass is close to the left, so we'll always add delay. And we can just click on this thing called fine adjustment, and we'll just keep holding the button down until excuse me, the lines here are all kind of on top of each other, right? So here we go, and boom, that looks pretty good to me. So all sort of summed up, you can see the black line here is following the maximum summation line. So I would say add 0.12 of a millisecond to your right mid bass to get it time aligned. So let's go do that. actually could have stayed in the alignment tool, and right mid base 120 milliseconds align copy, so plus 1.20, and there we have it. We should be able to go into our impulse now and just clear everything. So we have a left mid base and a right mid base, and now you can see these two are much closer in terms of alignment. Yep. So that looks pretty good to me. All right. So the next thing we need to do is, now we've got the tweeters, the mids, and the mid bass time aligned. Oh, there is one thing we forgot. We need to put this into the DSP. So we want to add 1.20 milliseconds to the over here, and put the mid bass into group 3. Now we don't have any other speaker pairs to align. What we now need to do is align the speakers, like the tweeters to the mids and the mids to the mid bass, and so on and so forth, right? And we're going to do that with the high frequency drivers using impulse responses again. And the way you do that is just clear everything out. We want the left tweeter and the right tweeter that we added the extra delay to, and then the left mid with the right mid with the extra delay. And we're going to zoom right in, and of course here are the tweeters and here are the mids. And so to time align those, we want to add delay to this group over here, which is the tweeters, and get them to move over here and overlap the mids. So we once again take a measure, hold the right control button down and the right mouse button, and just drag across, and that's 608 microseconds. So US means microseconds. So that's 0.61 of a microsecond that we need to add to the tweeters to get them to be time aligned. So to do that, we go down back to the alignment tool, and we select the left tweeter and the right tweeter that we have added the delay to before. So we just want to add some delay, so let's add 0.61 to this one. So that is going to change that from 0.6 to 1.67, and then we're going to do the same with the left tweeter. We're going to add 0.61 to that as well, and so the left tweeter has no delay on it yet, so that's just plus 0.61. And so that is the tweeters done, and let's go check the overlays. Open that up and get rid of the original measurements. And I think it's that one. No, not that one. Purple one. This one here. And of course here we have it. We have the tweeters and the mids completely time aligned. So that's that's great. Okay, the next step is to time align the tweeters and the mids to the mid bass. But first of all, we've got to put all this information into the DSP. So we have first of all, we've got to add 0.61 to the tweeters. So that's going to take that to 6.1, and because they're linked, both of them will change together. And now we can put them all into group 2 because they're now time aligned with the mids, and we want them to maintain that relationship. So now our next step is to time align the mids with the mid bass. So we can close that down, and mids to the mid bass. I think we could have a look at the phase and just, I don't know that the mids are going to play down low enough for the phase to be useful, but let's have a very quick look. So right mid bass and let's use the right mid. Where is your right mid? There you are. And and the mids play from about 300 all the way up to 3,000 or 4,000, and the mid bass sort of way down here. So it's a little bit difficult to get those two to sort of line up on the phase at this point. So once again, I think what we'll do is try the impulse method and just see how we go. So back to the impulse. Let's clear all of that out and bring up the mid bass pair that look like this. And then we had two choices. We could either try to time align it to that one or time align it to this peak here. Now, because I've been using the downward peak for all of my measures so far, if you look at the tweeter, it's down, and if you look at the mid, it's also down. So I'm going to just time align to this. And when you listen to it in the car, if things aren't centered, then you could always try time aligning to this other peak instead. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to bring up the the tweeters and the mids that we just time aligned to. So right mid and the left mid. Right, so that's all. This is the tweeters and the mids all time aligned together. We're just going to now measure the distance, and this is a bit tricky because it's not as clear cut. So that is 7.99 milliseconds. That's close enough to 8 milliseconds of delay. So that's what we're going to add. Now you can do a quick check. Are your mids 2.7 meters away? Sounds like a lot, but yeah, we'll see, because the mid bass is the furthest speaker away in my vehicle. So we're going to find all of the delays are going to kind of move in towards the mid bass. But anyway, so let's start with 7.999, which will be 8 milliseconds. Now we need to add them to all of the speakers. So in the alignment tool, we're going to start with the first one, which is the left tweeter. We've got to add 8 milliseconds to that, so that will make it 8.61. We're going to take the right tweeter now, which is this measurement, add on 8, which will take it to 9.67. Okay. Oops. And just clear up that stuff. Okay, and then we're going to do the mids. So the left mid is left mid. Here it is. So that's going to be 8 milliseconds. Right. And then the right mid. And we've got some delay on this one here, so that's 8 milliseconds as well, which will make it 8.11. And that's all four speakers now have their delays added. Let's just check it in the DSP before, sorry, in the overlays before we plug it into the DSP. So let's go and just open all that up, clear everything out. We want the two mid bass selected. So that's the left and the right mid bass. Okay, that's those two. And then we have the tweeters. So the left tweeter at 8, the right tweeter at 9.67, the left mid at 8, and the right mid at 8. And so you can now see those speakers are all time aligned, right? So that's good. We can go put that into the DSP. So DSP, so we can add 8 to this group 2, which is the tweeters and the mids. Drag all that over 8. Keep going, a bit more. Oops. There we go. So all of them as acting as one group is now delayed to the mid bass, which means that we can put everything now in group 3 because we want to lock them all together. And now we're going to move on to do the front stage against the front sub and the rear sub. Now if you only have one sub, then happy days, right? You don't need to go much further than that, but I've got 2 subs, so I'll show you how to do them both. Now for this we're going to go into the phase window. not the impulse window, and we're going to just clear everything out, and we're going to start with the front sub to the left mid bass. So the front sub, here it is, versus the left mid bass, which is this one here, and you can see that well, first of all, we'll need to check out the operating range of the speakers. So I've got the left mid bass and I've got the front sub. Okay, so it's kind of like, we're looking for something from about 30, through to 225, something like that. But the crossover is at 152. So it's the most important is this area here, right? So maybe we go from 60 through to, look at the range from 60 through to, 200 and a bit. So, whoops, sorry guys. So let's go into the overlays. So we want to go from 60, so control right button through to about there, and we want to get these areas lined up, and we said it was 152, something like that is the crossover zone. So at the moment we want these to be no greater than 60 degrees apart. So if I click on the 0 line here, and and then on the green line it's at 53, so it's just in the 60, but we can be closer than that. Alright, so the way that we do this is we go into the the alignment tool. We select the left mid bass. Yes, the left mid bass, because that's the furthest away, and the front sub. That's what we want. And we want to look at the phase traces. So we're looking, where the crossover is, we're looking to get this closed up as much as possible. So we'll just add some delay, and you'll see the lines lining up, and boom, there we go, 98 milliseconds. Let's give it 0.98 of a millisecond. So let's make it nice clean 1 millisecond, right? And you can see that phase trace is closed up. This phase trace is closed up. So that is now time aligned with the left mid bass. We just want to check the right mid bass while we're here, because they should both be the same. No, not yet, because we need to add some delay to this one. So let's just work on the left mid bass first. So let's make a new copy of the front sub with 1 millisecond of delay. Right, that's that one. And I know what the problem is. We were not selecting the right mid bass before. There we go. Now it's lined up when we select the mid bass with the delay in it. At 1 millisecond, it's completely lined up at the crossover point. So left mid bass and the left mid, both aligned by the phase plot, right? So that means those two are aligned. What we would do is go into the DSP and we would add on 1 millisecond to our sub. So, whoops, that's this one down here. And I'm going to put him into group 5 because I've got my sub across 2 channels. So that's that one. Awesome. So now we have, I think we put that into group 3 as well, so that they're all together. And then the last one is aligning with the rear sub. So we'll do that quickly. Once again, we'll go into phase. But before we do that, we'll figure out the operating range of the speakers. So front sub and the rear sub, it's playing from as low as it can, from 10, through to 120 maybe. And the crossover's here at 50, right? So 10 to 120, crossover at 50. Let's go have a look. Right, so get rid of all of this. And zoom out a little bit so we can see. And a little bit more. There we go. That's a bit better. So we'll select the front sub with the delay in it and the rear sub, which is in green. Oops, that's a mid. There is the rear sub, and of course it's the same color. Dear me. Alright, so let's go back. Overlays. Now that's looking a bit better. Now we can see what's going on. And we'll go from, let's go back a bit further. Can we see it? 10 through to 120, something like that. Okay, so we can see down low it's lined up really well. Here it's actually lined up pretty well. So that's 36 degrees, so well within the 60. Up here it's starting to split a little bit, so that's 0, that is 99, so beyond the 60. It'll still sum up, but not at 6 dB. And of course the crossover is right here at 50, and we've got what's that, 129 and 86, so something like 40 dB or something like that. I think that's right. Anyway, so we'll go into the alignment tool. We will select the front sub with the timing on it and the rear sub. And what we want to do again is just here's the crossover. Here is the area that we want to get the phase aligned. So we'll just add some delay, and you can see it closing up. And it's just about there, and that's about it. And that is 2 milliseconds of delay on the rear sub. So we can go and pop that into the DSP. Oops. Let's link them up on group 5 so they move together. So 2 milliseconds. 2 milliseconds, and that also means that the front sub needs to move. No, it doesn't. It's fine, because we are delaying the rear sub to match up to it. So there we have it. Right, we've got all of the speakers time aligned, and that is the short way, or the simple way, of aligning your speakers with impulse and phase. So there you go, guys. I hope that was helpful. Certainly time aligning to impulse and phase plots is much simpler than the maximum summation method. And as I said, if you don't want to go to all the trouble of mucking around, that's a very quick way of getting your speakers all time aligned. Now bear in mind that the measurements are never 100% accurate. You always need to take this out of the car to listen to the speaker pairs using correlated pink noise to see how they're summing up. You should get the concentration of the pink noise somewhere in the middle of your dash, and just add delay and whatever to get everything kind of lined up. Your ears are always going to be much better than just just following the measurements, and what the measurements are telling you completely blind. So always do that last bit of the tune with your ears. So guys, I hope you found that helpful. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next episode.